I think Thanksgiving may be my favorite holiday ever. We'll talk about why on this episode of the Driving with Rob podcast. Thanksgiving is an American holiday. I think there's a Canadian Thanksgiving. There may be other countries that do it. But I like the American holiday of Thanksgiving probably more than all the other holidays. And there are a number of reasons why I like Thanksgiving. Not the least of which is a 4-day weekend. But Thanksgiving, for those of you who may not be aware, Thanksgiving is not when we commemorate the Pilgrims giving thanks to the Indians. It was the Pilgrims giving thanks to God for sustaining them for a whole year. It is a day of thanks, where we look back on the year and we reflect over what we're thankful for, right? But the reason I like Thanksgiving, there are a number of reasons, like I said before, not the least of which, unlike some of the other holidays, Friday is your recovery day. We celebrate Thanksgiving on the third Thursday of November. And most companies, most people get Friday after Thanksgiving off. So it may be the only holiday in the year where you have a recovery day after the holiday. And of course, we know that Friday has become in America what they call Black Friday shopping day, where all the retailers are trying to get a jump on Christmas shopping, and they run special deals and special promotions on the Friday after Thanksgiving. We haven't participated in Black Friday shopping in years just because of all the crowds in the mall and in the shopping centers and all that stuff. We just abstain from Black Friday shopping. But Thanksgiving gives you Friday to recover. Now you compare that with Christmas, right? How many years did I have to go to work on December the 26th? The day after Christmas, you go right back to work like it never happened. You have to put all of your celebrating and everything aside, unless you had enough vacation days or personal days saved up from work and you just decided to take an extra day. Pretty much you had to go back to work right after the holiday. But take Easter. Easter is the same way. For years and years growing up, we used to take Easter Monday off as our one day off to celebrate the Easter holiday. And I kind of liked having Easter Monday off. But a lot of the country, especially the northern states that had a higher percentage of Catholics, they always recognized Good Friday as the holiday. So you got Friday off, and then Easter was Sunday, and then you went right back to work on Monday. But I kind of liked having Monday off because you need that recovery day. You need that day off. And North Carolina, just to, I guess, fall in line with everybody else, started recognizing Friday, Good Friday, as the Easter holiday. But Thanksgiving gives you a recovery day. You spend all day just feasting, being with family, being with friends, whatever it is you do on Thanksgiving. And then most people have Friday off. And just a word about family. This is another reason I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a time when all the family can get together without any pressure. And you can say there's a certain amount of pressure if you're the person who cooks, because we all know the stories of the judgmental in-laws, the judgmental mother-in-law, who is going to have something negative to say about something you cooked in some kind of a passive-aggressive way. You know, you use more salt than I do, but if you like it that way, your sweet tea is a lot sweeter than mine. My son never liked it that sweet. You know, passive-aggressive mother-in-law talk. But in general, It's a stress-free holiday because the only thing you're expected to do, unless you're the people doing the cooking, the only thing you're expected to do on Thanksgiving is just eat, hang out with family, watch football, take a nap. But then on Friday, you got a day to recover. And spending time with family, it leads me into this idea of Friendsgiving. Do you celebrate Friendsgiving? We used to do it when the kids were little. We didn't have a name for it. We didn't call it Friendsgiving. It was just something we did. Because after you spent an entire day with your family or your spouse's family, you kind of needed a day to spend with the people you genuinely like, the people you actually wanted to spend time with. So what we would do is, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, you would go ahead and grease the tracks at Thanksgiving. You know, we're going to go over to my friend's house on Friday night for supper. Grandma, would you mind watching the kids for us? And of course, Grandma's sitting there with the kid on her lap saying, well, of course, honey, I would love to take care of the baby for you. Or take care of the kids for you. So it kind of let you off the hook. And then you got to spend time with people you actually liked instead of family. And they call it Friendsgiving now. We just called it hanging out with people we'd rather spend time with. But see, there's two perks already for the Thanksgiving holiday. You get a day of recovery on Friday. And a lot of people celebrate getting together with their friends because, again, in America, most of us are off on Fridays. So Friday is like a free day. But then you still have your weekend. This past Saturday, I thought all day this past Saturday was Sunday. And I was already dreading going to work the next day. And then I realized it's only Saturday. I have Sunday off, too. So as I'm recording this, it's on a Sunday night. So I didn't start dreading going back to work until today. But I had a great Thanksgiving this year, you know, and plus with COVID, you haven't had a chance to be with family, be with friends, be with anybody, really. And a lot of people missed out on their holidays. We went ahead and had holidays anyway because we didn't care. And as a matter of fact, I had COVID last Christmas. I had COVID a year ago. But we didn't care. We wanted to be together, so we were together. And we didn't suffer, you know, thankfully. Thank the Lord. We didn't have any long-term effects from any of us getting COVID. We all had I guess it's the Omicron variant or whatever it was they were calling it back then. But for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, families couldn't get together. Families couldn't celebrate together. They couldn't have big family get-togethers. This was really the first year in the last couple, 2 or 3, that people have had a chance to get together. And you forget how awesome Thanksgiving is. When you get to see everybody, some people you don't see, but maybe once a year or a couple of times a year. But you get to see them over Thanksgiving. And this year we actually got together in one big group and got to see each other and got to spend time with each other. But no other holiday gives you a 4-day weekend. No American holiday, anyway. You always have to go to work the next day, right after the holiday. But at Thanksgiving, you get a 4-day weekend. And for some people, every holiday, no matter what holiday, is kind of a sad time. If you're a single person, maybe you live far away from your family and you had to work the next day or something and you couldn't really come home for the holidays. And holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas are kind of sad, kind of melancholy. But plus you remember the holidays from when you were a kid, when you did spend time with family. And that's what the holidays were all about, was spending time with your family. And I would be lying if I said that there wasn't at least a little bit of melancholy, where I had kind of flashbacks of when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we'd all go to grandma's, and all my aunts and uncles were there, all my cousins were there, and I'm sure different parts of the country do it different ways, but in the South, pretty much, your cousins, if they live close by, were more like brothers and sisters than they were cousins. And when you start thinking about the good old days, growing up, around Thanksgiving, around Christmas, you can't help but think about the people that you spent every holiday with who aren't with us anymore. Both my parents have passed away. Both my wife's parents have passed away. We've lost cousins. We've lost members of our family. And you do have a moment where you think about those who should be with you, and they're not. And it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to miss those people. And like I said in a podcast a couple of years ago, I believe that true love never dies. It's just like that scene in the movie Ghost, where he's about to go to heaven. You see the bright light all around him, and he says, "You take the love with you when you go." And that little sad, melancholy feeling that you feel is because you still love those people that you lost. And you feel a little sad because you can't be with them. But that's normal. Because I'm convinced that you don't unlove anybody, ever, when they're no longer in your life for whatever reason. You didn't stop loving them, you just learned to live without them. You just learned to go on in spite of the fact that they're not around. You still love them. But around the holiday times, you can't help but think about growing up, especially if you had a good childhood, or if you had a lot of family around in the holidays, and maybe now you don't. Well, of course you're going to get a little sad. It's fine. It's normal. And when you're sad around the holidays, it's because you're remembering the good times. And it's probably better if you would just focus on the pleasant memories, the good memories you had of holidays. And let it make you happy. Let it make you smile instead of making you sad because those times are gone. Life goes on. Things change. Every Thanksgiving, I wish I could go back to a time when I was at my grandmother's house and Mama and Papa were there, and all the aunts and uncles were there, and all the cousins were there. And of course you wish you could go back to that time, and it does make you a little sad for the good old days. Makes you grieve the loss of the good old days. But that's natural, and you shouldn't let it keep you down over the holidays. And I know Thanksgiving is already passed, and it's too late to give advice now. But if you don't have family to spend the holidays with, because we're still looking toward Christmas now, that's the next big holiday that's coming, of course, is Christmas. And if you don't have family, or you can't be with family, you have to make the people who are in your life now, your friends, your coworkers, let them be your stand-in family. You can be family with each other and still enjoy the holidays and still enjoy your time together and be thankful for those people. I didn't quite mean to go down that rabbit trail, but that was what I was feeling about Thanksgiving. But Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday all year. And when I said earlier that there was no pressure, one of the pressures that you have around Christmas is gift giving. Thanksgiving doesn't have any gifts. Just the gift of your time and being around those you love for the holidays. So why is Thanksgiving my favorite holiday? You spend Thanksgiving Day with your family and friends. On Friday, you have a recovery day where you can sleep late. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to work. And then after you've had your day to recover, you still have Saturday and Sunday, and there's no presents to buy. So yeah, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. That's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. I appreciate you listening. And like I told you at the ending of the last episode of the podcast, today was not political at all. Intentionally non-political. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did. But I'm thankful for you for downloading. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting me just by downloading and listening. And if you like the podcast, tell your friends about it. You can share the link. You can copy the link and share it on Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is you share stuff. If you want to tell somebody about the podcast, you can find my podcast any place you go to listen to podcasts. I'm on Spotify. I'm on iTunes. I'm on Google Podcast. But thanks again for listening. I really do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.